Okay, hi guys, welcome to my third part of the reliability video series. Okay, we just finished in the second part, assessing reliability using provenance and typicality. So right now in this video, we are just going to go through assessing reliability through the use of content. Now, for those who have not watched part 2, please go and watch part 2. This is part 3. So please go and watch the previous part if you haven't, because we introduced 3 sources that we're going to use in this video. I will not be reintroducing them. Please go look at the 3 sources, okay? If you don't have the 3 sources, then yeah, you better go and watch that. Okay, so this is what we have covered so far. Part 1 was introduction, part 2 was this. Now we're going on to part 3, which is detecting or assessing reliability using content. Now, when we're assessing reliability using content, basically what we are doing is to make sure that what the content says is true. So, how do we make sure what the content says is true? Basically, we have to compare it with, or we have to rather refer to another source. So, if what the source says is true, the other source that you have referred to will agree with what the source says. Makes sense, right? When they agree, they are saying the same thing, means it has to be true. It's just like when you are when you want to check whether something is correct, you go online and if something is saying the same thing as what you think, is most likely true. Okay, so when it's true, it's reliable. If something is disagreeing with what you're checking with, then it's most likely unreliable. Okay, so let's look at this. Okay, the question was, does source A prove that managerial life is beneficial? Can't speak. Oh my gosh. Does source A prove that managerial life is beneficial to all Singaporeans? Basically, in the previous video, we have established that this actually says yes. Okay, source A says yes. Again, if you haven't seen it, please go and see it. This time around, we're not looking at the provenance. We're looking more at what is in the content. So, this part of the answer, basically, you need to see what the source says, okay? You need to know the content which you need to verify with another source, okay? So basically, how do you know what is the source saying? You answer the question first, okay? Source A proves that MediShield Life is beneficial to all Singaporeans because everyone can be insured with MediShield Life. Okay, this can be seen from it is only right that everyone chips in, even with increased premiums, to ensure that previously uninsurables such as the pre-existing illnesses are not included. So basically, this is taken from the source, from here. Okay, this line. Alright, so this line is basically the evidence, the clue in the source, alright? And you have to explain the clue. This means that people who did not used to be insured by MediShield can now also receive coverage, easing the burden of not being able to afford medical bills. Okay, therefore, source A proves that MediShield Life is beneficial to all Singaporeans. This is what the source is saying. Have you verified yet? You have not. But I hope you recognize what format this is. This is actually very, very similar. This is similar to your formats, your guide for your inference questions, okay? Source X proves, again, the star means that you have to adapt to the question. So if the question is, can you believe source A in saying that MediShield Life is beneficial? You have to say, I can believe source A in saying that MediShield Life is blah, blah, blah. So this is the question focus, okay? So the star means you have to adapt to the question. Because conclusion. This can be seen from clue. This means that connect, therefore conclusion. This 4 C's here is basically what I've gone through with you for your inference question. Okay, so this part is just inference. No cross-referencing yet. Okay, so just use your inference skill for this first part. This first part is not done yet, but before I go on, let me just a simple reminder for those who didn't watch part 2. All answer guides here are here to help you to ease into answering the reliability question. It's not a one-size-fits-all format. Please do not use it blindly. You have to adapt the format or the guide. I would rather call it a guide. A guide is to help you to ease it in. Okay, it's not for you to use and copy blindly. Alright, so please take discretion and customize your answers. So this part you are just inferring. Now, this is the content that you need to verify with another source to see that if this is true. So if the other source agrees with what is said here, okay, then the source is true, then the source is reliable, then the source does prove that MediShield Life is beneficial to all Singaporeans. So what source can you cross-refer to? Okay, these are the sources that we have seen. I'm going to briefly, I'm just going to breeze through it because I've gone through these 3 sources in part 2. Again, if you have not seen part 2, go and see it. Basically, this source says that MediShield Life is beneficial. This is that MediShield Life is beneficial. This is that MediShield Life is not beneficial to all Singaporeans. So since this says that it's beneficial, I have to cross-refer to a source. Cross-refer basically means referring to a source that is saying the same thing, that MediShield Life is beneficial. So source B is the one that says MediShield Life is beneficial to all Singaporeans. So how do you write that in your paragraph answer? So this is what it would be like in your paragraph answer. Source B supports, you have to use this word supports, source A in saying that MediShield Life is beneficial to all Singaporeans because everyone can be insured with MediShield Life. This can be seen from the scheme will cover everyone for life, even those with pre-existing illnesses. Okay, this part is taken from this part. So this means that everyone with, even if they have already been diagnosed with a sickness and not insured before, can now receive insurance under MediShield Life. Conclude with it, since source B supports source A proves that MediShield Life is beneficial to all Singaporeans. Recall, source A also said this, that those with pre-existing illnesses are covered. Okay, so this part, source B agrees with source A. So in a way, it supports each other. When they support, it is reliable. When it's reliable, it proves. Okay, source A proves. Simple as that. How does it look like in the answer guide? It simply is source Y, okay, supports source X in saying that conclusion of X, meaning in saying that this, all Singaporeans are beneficial to all Singaporeans because all Singaporeans can be insured with MediShield Life. Okay, so you're proving the same thing. Everyone is insured with MediShield Life. Same. Okay, this is what I mean by conclusion X, conclusion of X. Now, you have to infer source Y. Okay, complete it. This can be seen from the clue you take from source Y, which is the source that you're cross-referring to. Okay, source Y. So from here, Y represents B. Okay, over here. This is an improvement. No. And the scheme will cover everyone for life. This is what we have taken from. To prove that the conclusion of X is true. So this means that you explain what does this mean. How does this prove what X has concluded? Okay, so since source Y supports source X proves that MediShield Life is beneficial to all Singaporeans. Insert question focus. Just in case you're confused, Y here is not source B. Basically, Y here is another source of source X instead of source X. Okay, so adapt, like I said, adapt to the questions. Do not copy blindly. Okay, so source Y here is B. So put inside source B supports source A in saying that blah blah blah. Okay. Basically, those are not 2 paragraphs. Okay, those that I have shown you. This part where you have your inference for X. Okay, conclusion of X. And this part where you cross-refer. Okay, and this part where you conclude the cross-refer. This is 1 paragraph. Again, disclaimer. Okay, answer guides are here to help you ease into answering questions. Do not use it blindly. Okay, so over here, source A will be here. Source A proves that. Adapt to the question. Okay, so this is 1 paragraph. Now, in a reliability question, okay, cross-refer to prove or cross-refer reliable, you have to use this cross-reference. It's a must to do cross-reference. Basically, this part of the paragraph. It is a must to do it. Okay. And you don't just stop there. I will need you to cross-refer to prove that the source is not reliable or the source does not prove. Okay, so how? Let us see. Basically, for this question, source C, okay, is saying a different thing from source A. So you can use source C to show that source A is unreliable, hence source A does not prove. How do you do so? It is here. Okay, however, Source A does not prove that MediShield Life is beneficial to all Singaporeans because Source C challenges Source A. Challenges means saying a different thing. Okay? Now, you have to tell me what Source C says. Okay? Source C says that MediShield Life is not beneficial for all Singaporeans because it increases the financial burden of the citizens. Okay, because source A says that it is beneficial, source C says it is not beneficial. This is the thing that is different. One says beneficial, the other says no, not beneficial. Okay, so they're saying that it's not beneficial because it's increasing financial burden of the citizens. This is the conclusion of source C. This can be seen from the source. Taking even more money out to service MediShield Life premiums will mean greater hardship from Singaporeans or for Singaporeans when they retire. Okay, so what this means is that there will be an economic burden. When there is a burden, it is not beneficial. So conclude, as in the previous example, since source C now is challenges source A does not prove that MediShield Life is beneficial to all Singaporeans. So simple. When a source supports source X is reliable, hence it proves. When a source challenges source X is not reliable, therefore does not prove. Okay, so a few things here. Prove means reliable, does not prove means not reliable. Okay, so again, answer guide. This time around, you have to add in the line, however, source X does not prove that blah blah blah, question focus. Okay, this is because source Z. Now why I use Z? Because you have three sources in question. Alright, source X, Y, and Z. You cannot use Y to prove that source X is reliable and then use Y to say that source X is unreliable. You can't. You have to use a different source. Okay, so therefore source Z. Okay, challenges source X in saying whatever source X said earlier, that MediShield Life is beneficial. Okay, because source Z says that conclusion. Okay, so in that case was the fact that source C is saying that MediShield Life is not beneficial. It is not X anymore. It has to be a different and opposite one. Opposite of this one. Okay, of what X is saying. This can be seen from clue. Take a clue from the source that you're cross-referring to. This means that you explain whatever source X is. Explain whatever source Z is saying. Therefore, source Z says that. Okay, the question focus. So since source Z challenges source X does not prove. Okay, challenge, again I repeat, challenge means not reliable, reliable means does not prove. Okay, so this is actually how your answer should look like. In your answer, okay, you have to have checking reliability using content, and then you have to cross-refer to prove and cross-refer to does not prove. DNP means does not prove. So you have to have two full paragraphs in your answer. Okay, paragraph 1 showing that it proves, showing that it's reliable. Paragraph 2 showing that it does not prove, showing that it's not reliable. Basically, I want 2 points of view. Okay, one says reliable, one says not reliable. Must have 2 points of view in your answer as of now. Okay, in this part of the lecture, these two paragraphs are compulsory in your answers. I would want to see cross references and both points of view, meaning reliable and not reliable, in your answer. Okay, in the next video, you will see how to check for reliability based on purpose, tone, and source biasness. These skills to check for reliability may not be present in all sources, okay, and you have to have these 2 paragraphs first before using the skills that I'll be teaching you in the next video. Just take note of that. Therefore, this is the most important skill to use in checking for reliability. Okay, let me nag one more time. Both paragraphs must be in there. Okay, so this is the end of the video. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next part.